Please be seated. The court is now back in session. The International Defense Counsel for Ieng Sari, do you have any further question for this witness?
No, Mr. President.
President, thank you, counsel. Please be on your feet. In order to respond to your request to the chamber regarding the clarification on the ruling on the request by your National Counsel Ang Odom for the display of a document on the screen, that is the 232/21R. We already ruled on this matter, but then you request for clarification on the reason in our ruling. Our reason is based on our decision dated 7 December 2012, that is decision on the request by defense teams regarding the irregularity as alleged existed during the investigation, that is document E221, 22, and 24/2, and 234/2, and 241, and 241/1. Please refer to the reasons in these decisions, particularly paragraph 22 of the decisions. These are the decisions that the chamber made on such subject matter, that is during the proceeding in this case.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just to make sure that the record is correct, the clarification. I'll wait. I'm told to wait.
President, counsel, I'd like to add that the decision was our response to all the requests that you made before the adjournment to clarify the matter.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just to make sure that the record is clear so we all understand, my first point was to clarify that we had submitted a portion of the tape to be transcribed, and that's what Mr. Ang Odom was trying to say, that portion had not been transcribed yesterday, and it would appear, at least it came across that way, that the prosecutor was indicating to the court that it was already placed on the record. That was the clarification I wanted to make. We're talking about two different sections. As far as my request for the investigation, my request now, as opposed to clarification, I think I understand your ruling. Suffice it to say, this is a different matter, a different witness, and this witness indicated that notes were taken, hence the request for the investigation. So that's the point I wanted to make. And for the record, on every witness who appears before the court, if they have been primed or if they have been questioned by the investigators before going on tape, we intend to at least make reference to that so we can have a transparent record. Sunshine is the best disinfectant for the truth. Thank you.
Thank you, Counsel. Please abide by the decisions, decisions by the Chamber. And another alternative for you is to appeal our decisions regarding our decisions. And of course, we will use our discretion to interrupt or to stop any party or any witness to respond to any question. We would like now to give the floor to Khieu Samporn's defense to put question to this witness. You may proceed. Kong Samporn, thank you, Mr. President. Good afternoon, Your Honors, everyone in and around the courtroom. Good afternoon, Mr. Ong Ren. My name is Kong Samporn, the National Counsel for Khieu Samporn, and I have a few questions for you. My first question is related to your work as the Secretary of Regiment 82. How long or from when did you work as the Secretary for Regiment 82? Response. When I worked at Regiment 82, it was from the announcement of Division 801. Thank you. Question. Does it mean it was 2 weeks based on your statement after the liberation of Phnom Penh, that is after 17 April 1975? Is that correct? Yes. Response. Question. After you became Secretary of Regiment 82, were you sent to your destination immediately? Response. As I indicated, in Regiment 82, we stationed from the west of the stadium to the Monks Pagoda. And then it was at the Phnom Penh Pagoda. Question. You mentioned Phnom Penh Pagoda. Where was that pagoda located? Response. There was a rough road near Phnom Penh Pagoda leading away from Phnom Penh toward the west and then to the south. Some of the forces are stationed there. Thank you. Question. When Did you leave your position as Secretary of Regiment 82? Response: as I indicated yesterday, I was assigned to go to Versailles and I stayed there for 2 years. I can remember that I actually went to Versailles for 2 times. I was in Division 801 for a while and then I was sent to a study session in Phnom Penh. Question: in Division 801, what was your position? Response: as I indicated yesterday, in Division 801, they reintegrated our forces from Siampang, and we were instructed by the upper echelon, and in by Susaran for me to stay with him. However, there was no official written letter, but he told me that I should take the place of a 06, as 06 was assigned to Mundolkiri. Question: can you indicate to the chamber what was the position of a 06? Response: 06 was the deputy commander of Division 801. Thank you. Does it mean you became the deputy commander of Division 801, replacing 06? Is this correct? Response: yes. Question: how long did you hold that position as the deputy division commander? Response: as I indicated yesterday, I stayed there for less than 1 month. Then I was assigned to go to attend a study session in Phnom Penh. And when I was in Phnom Penh, I got sick. Question: were there specific instructions to you at the time when you replaced a 06? Response: as I just said, I replaced 06, and that was relayed by 05, and he brought me from Siampang. He told me that the upper echelon required 2 of us to stay with me in the position that I indicated yesterday, that is for me to replace 06, because there had to be 3 people in the committee. Thank you. My question is related to your response yesterday at 3:31 p.m. Your response is related to the security center. At the Okonsang. You refer to Okonsang and also to Bangkonsang, which is the actual name. Response: Bangkonsang was at Tua on Lung, but I did not know for sure where Okonsang was. So these are 2 separate names, but there was no security center at Bangkonsang. Question. So, security center was only located at Au Con Sai. Is that correct? Response. Yes, that is correct. Question. Also, yesterday, you said that you did not know about the existence of the security center until such time the villagers came to tell you about the arrest of their children for stealing potatoes. Can you tell the chamber why you did not know about the security center at Au Con Sai at that time? Response. As I indicated previously, I was in that division replacing a 06 for a brief period of time only. And I did not even know that there was a division security center at all. And only upon my return, I was assigned to go to be in charge of my previous unit. But when I was on the motorbike at Burnside, I was called to return back. And 4 or 5 days later, people came to meet me talking about their children. And upon asking them questions, they told me that their children had been arrested and placed at the Au Con Sai Security Center. That's how I learned of the existence through the people. And those people also told me that the people who had been detained there actually broke out of the prison and killed the guard. Thank you. You talked about your intervention leading to the release of about 20 people. Did your request to the division commander have anything to do with the upper echelon? Or only after you made a request to the division commander, then he decided to release those people? Response. After I received that information and upon his return from the front battlefield, he came to my place, and during the time that we were talking, then the issue came up that the people's children had been arrested for stealing potato. Then I told him that those people did not have any major offense. The only offense was for them to steal potatoes, and they were accused of betraying the community as a whole. And then they were arrested and detained. So I raised the matter to him and asked for his opinion and recommendation whether he should make a further report to the upper echelon. But my request to him was to release them for these minor offenses. Then he told me that he would consult with the upper echelon after he returned. And 2 or 3 days later, those people were released, and I met them in front of my house, and they came to thank me for assisting them. That I spoke to the division commander. Question. Can you then tell the chamber whether your division commander made a request further up to the upper level, or he made his own decision to release them? Response. I made my request to him, And he said he would go to his place first. It means he went to Versailles. And during these 2 or 3 days period, I did not know whether he made further requests to the upper echelon or not. What I saw was that a few days after he returned to Versailles, those people were released and they came to my house to thank me. Thank you. Question. Did you know who was the upper echelon above Division 801? Response. The upper institution above division level was Committee 870. Question. What about the military general staff on the Son Sen part? Was it above your division level? Response. Son Sen was also the upper level. Pol Pot was also the upper level. And as I indicated earlier, when we have to make a report on politics or on military, these 2 were the main figures that the reported would be sent to. 05 also made a report to them. And besides that, I did not know whether there were other people that the division has to report to. Because about division, there were Pol Pot and Son Sen. Question. What was immediately above division level? If you know, can you enlighten the chamber? Response. Regarding the level above the division, first on the military side, there was Son Sen, who was in charge and above division level. And about Son Sen, I would say there would be Pol Pot and no one else who would be above Son Sen. That is the chain of command based on my understanding. Thank you. Mr. Ongram, I have no further question for you, and thank you, Mr. President. My International Council have a few questions for this witness. President, yes, you may proceed.
Merci.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good afternoon, witness. I am Arthur Verken, International Co-Counsel for Mr. Kyo Sampan. My first question for you is as follows. How many times after the fall of Phnom Penh were you wounded?
I was wounded on the day of the fall of Phnom Penh.
Et quel était le type de votre...
And what was the nature of your injury?
I was wounded, but I could walk. But after before I was wounded, we advanced near Poyantong area. I was wounded at the Tang Krosang Pagoda.
Mr. Witness, very well. My question was the nature of your injury, as to the nature of your injury. In medical terms, were you wounded by a bullet? Can you please specify the nature of your injury?
I was wounded by a bullet.
Où ça?
Whereabouts?
I was wounded by a bullet on my thigh.
Et après avoir été blessé,
And after you were wounded, were you hospitalized on the same day or later on?
Immediately after I was wounded, I was sent to the hospital at Tangkosang Pagoda immediately. And that was a kind of a mobile hospital or infirmary for the front battlefield.
et vous allez y rester combien de temps dans cet hôpital?
And for how long were you at that mobile hospital?
I stayed there for about 17 days.
But
by then, my main force remained at the station or at the place where we were assigned to.
Et où avait-elle été envoyée?
And where had it been sent?
I was not sent anywhere, but my deputy came to meet me, and then we talked about a plan to prepare the integration of our regiment into Division 801. And number 2 was to prepare the political psychology of our troops for our anticipated trip to Ratanakiri.
Après 17 jours d'hospitalité,
After you were admitted to hospital and stayed at the hospital for 17 days, what did you do? You left the hospital, and where did you go?
After I left the hospital from my unit, I came to meet my forces in Phnom Penh, and we discussed certain matters. And I asked, Phnom Penh had just been liberated, why we had to be assigned to go elsewhere? And I was told that we had to go through the northeast. At that time, we had not been integrated into the new division. We were still at Brigade 11, but we were told that we would be sent further.
et les premières discussions que vous avez eues,
Regarding the first discussions you had with your assistants regarding the establishment of Division 801, those discussions, when were they held? Immediately after you were admitted to hospital or after you left the hospital?
The discussion took place while I was wounded.
j'entends bien, mais Est-ce que c'était alors que vous étiez...
What I mean is, was it while you were still at the hospital or after you left the hospital?
As I said earlier, I discussed with my deputy for the integration and which force has to go to where. At that time, we were at Poon Phnom, and by that time, there was no announcement yet of the integration.
Écoutez bien ma question, monsieur.
Witness, please listen carefully to my question. My question to you is this. At the time when you were discussing with your assistant the plan to integrate forces in Division 801, were you still at the hospital, or you had already left the hospital to join your troops in Phnom Penh? Where were you, at the hospital or with your troops?
My deputy from Phnom Penh came to meet me. Of course, he had made the division, and then he came to meet me while I was at the hospital.
D'accord.
Very well. And subsequently, when you were interviewed by tribunal interpreters and also before this chamber, you talked about a rally that was held at the Olympic Stadium regarding the establishment of Division 801. My question to you is as follows. At the time when you attended that rally at the Olympic Stadium regarding the establishment of Division 801, had you already left the hospital? Is that your evidence?
Yes, I already left the hospital.
And as far as you can remember, this gathering at the Olympic Stadium regarding Division 801 took place immediately after you left the hospital or a little later? Are you able to tell us seriously how much time went by between the moment you left the hospital and the day of this gathering at the Olympic Stadium?
Response. The hospital I was still in the hospital, and the arrangement of the division was made when I was still at the hospital. And as I already told you, there were two people at the division. One was in Phnom Penh and one was elsewhere. So when I was injured, the work could move about because my subordinate was overly in charge in my absence. So it could be done even though I was still admitted to the hospital.
And the day when you went to the Olympic Stadium to attend this ceremony or this gathering, you were still at the hospital, if I understand what you're saying. Is that the case?
Response. I think there might be a slip here. I say that in my unit, there was the regiment commander who was stationed in Phnom Penh, and at the same time another regiment commander who was injured and admitted to the hospital. So at the same time, the regiment commander in Phnom Penh could communicate to one another, and we could talk to one another during that period of time to deal with things. I did not even need to come all the way to Phnom Penh to discuss matters because there was a person in charge in Phnom Penh who acted on behalf of me, and he could deal with it. So there was a means of transportation that I could also come to attend meeting if I was needed at that time. So to put it simply, I was admitted to the hospital. I still was taking some medicine, and I worked at the same time.
Mr. President, I don't believe I'll be able to finish with my questioning this evening. Well,
the President, can you please advise the Chamber as to how much time would you need to proceed putting all the questions you have?
Well, I would say at most 40 minutes, maybe less, I hope less. That's basically it. But I see that the message is maybe a bit unclear between the witness and me, so maybe I will have to do it step by step.
The President. Thank you, Mr. Ong Ryan. It is now appropriate time already for the adjournment. The Chamber will adjourn, and the session will be resumed tomorrow at 9 a.m. During tomorrow's session, we continue hearing the testimony of Mr. Ong Ran, and we proceed to hear the testimony of TCW 100. Questions to be put to these TCW 100 first by the prosecution, followed by other parties to the proceedings. Mr. Ong Ran, your testimony has not yet been complete, and that we would like you to come back to the courtroom tomorrow at 9 a.m. to give the testimony. Questions continue to be put by counsel for Mr. Kyosampan. The President, Mr. Ong Ran, we need you tomorrow as well, so you are to come to the courtroom again. Court officer is now instructed to assist Mr. Ong Ran during the adjournment and have him return to the courtroom by 9 a.m. And at the same time, the Chamber wishes to inform the parties to the proceedings that during tomorrow's sessions, the Chamber will discuss the request by legal lawyers for the civil party concerning TCCP 94. And the Chamber will discuss this, and parties will be informed through a written notification whether the Chamber wishes to hear the testimony of this civil party or not.
Yes, thank you, President. Just to make it clear in English, the parties can expect a message from the trial chamber this evening. We just haven't had time to communicate it as yet, and that will make it clear the subject matter that we may wish to discuss concerning TCCP 94 tomorrow. Thank you. Thank you, President.
The President, security personnel are now instructed to bring the accused persons back to the detention facility and have them return to the courtroom by 9 a.m. Mr. Ieng Sari is instructed to bring to his holding cell where he can observe the proceedings from there. The court is adjourned.